For centuries, mentalism has been repeated in a single sentence. The all is mind, the universe is mental. But a sentence that powerful can become useless when it is quoted without being explained. It is surrounded by mystical language, reduced to positive thinking, or presented as though belief alone can command reality. Mentalism begins this series because every law that follows depends on understanding what mind is actually doing. Mind is not simply thought, and mentalism does not claim that the physical world is imaginary. It does not erase matter, suffering, consequence, history, or the conditions imposed upon human life. Nor does it mean that every event was consciously chosen by the person experiencing it. It means that mind is formative. Reality is not merely received, but organized through attention, interpretation, memory, emotion, expectation, language, identity, and inner image. Every human being lives within this process. An event occurs, but the event is immediately joined by a reading. Silence becomes rejection. Correction becomes humiliation. Difficulty becomes proof of incapacity. Another mind may encounter the same conditions and read uncertainty, instruction, or challenge. The event remains real, but the world being lived is shaped by the meaning assigned to it. This is why mind must be understood as an organizing principle rather than a collection of passing thoughts. A person may repeat new words while remaining governed by an old identity. They may speak of possibility while their attention remains fixed upon threat. Their memory continues selecting failure, and their inner image still expects defeat. Vocabulary has changed, but the deeper organization has not. The same principle can be seen wherever deliberate form appears. A building begins as design. A book begins as an inward structure held long enough to become language. A decision exists internally before it becomes visible through action. Form does not emerge from nowhere. Mind selects, arranges, rehearses, and gives direction before the physical act completes what was first organized inwardly. Attention is one of the clearest expressions of this law because attention determines what becomes central. A fearful mind notices danger. A resentful mind notices insult. An ambitious mind notices opportunity. A disciplined mind notices what must be done next. Whatever receives repeated attention expands within experience, while a mind trained by constant distraction begins to inhabit a fragmented world. Interpretation then assigns meaning to what attention has selected. The body reacts to that meaning, emotion strengthens it, and action follows it. Identity gives the entire process continuity by telling the mind what belongs possible and what should be expected. Identity is therefore more than a description. It is an instruction set governing perception, endurance, memory, and behavior. Language makes these structures durable. Statements such as "I always fail, nothing changes," or "no one respects me" do more than report frustration. When repeated, they stabilize a world in which failure, stagnation, and rejection become expected. Other statements, "This can be corrected," "I can complete the next step," or "I finish what I begin," organize attention and action differently. Repetition is formative, whether it appears through prayer, doctrine, advertising, propaganda, self-talk, or the endless cycles of digital media. This structure appears across traditions even when their symbols and doctrines differ. Hermetic teaching expresses it directly by placing mind near the foundation of reality. Egyptian and Mesopotamian systems describe worlds established through wisdom, speech, naming, measurement, decree, and intelligent order. Biblical and apocryphal traditions present speech before creation, wisdom before arrangement, and heavenly pattern before visible form. Gnostic and Sophia-related traditions expose the binding force of ignorance, misrecognition, and distorted perception, showing how knowledge changes existence by changing the consciousness through which existence is lived. These traditions do not need to be identical for the recurring mechanism to remain visible. Again and again, visible order appears downstream from intelligence, naming, wisdom, recognition, or inward structure. The symbols differ, but the function returns. Consciousness is not merely observing a completed world from the outside. It participates in organizing meaning, direction, bondage, and release. Within the human being, this process becomes immediate. Perception is never neutral. Fear narrows it. Grief edits it. Envy selects through it. Hope widens it. Discipline clarifies it. Emotion gives interpretations weight, memory retrieves evidence that reinforces them, and expectation carries them forward into future action. When these forces conflict, the individual becomes fragmented. One part desires change, another fears it, another speaks against it, and another continues repeating the identity that created the old pattern. Attention divides, action becomes inconsistent, and the outer life reflects the absence of inward coherence. Strength begins to return when the mental field stops issuing contradictory commands. Religious and symbolic systems operate through this same mechanism. Their power does not reside in symbols alone, but in the kind of consciousness those symbols repeatedly construct. They may cultivate lucidity, discipline, humility, and coherence, or fear, guilt, dependence, confusion, and passivity. The essential question is not merely what a system claims to represent, but what it repeatedly does to the mind that inhabits it. Mentalism becomes distorted when it is reduced to manifestation language. Desire is mistaken for organization, and people are told that wanting strongly enough will produce whatever they imagine. But surface intention cannot overcome a structure still organized around fear, division, and defeat. Wanting is not the same as becoming coherent. The law is distorted further when it is used to blame people for every wound they experience. Consciousness participates in lived reality, but it does not author every external condition. Violence, history, embodiment, accident, institutions, and material constraints remain real. Mentalism explains participation. It does not justify cruelty or erase consequence. Mystical inflation creates another failure. Vast language about universal consciousness replaces any explanation of attention, identity, interpretation, and repetition. Symbols are preserved, but their function remains hidden. Modern systems then exploit the same neglected mechanism by occupying attention, triggering emotion, supplying repeated language, and shaping identity through algorithmic repetition. Whoever repeatedly governs attention participates in organizing the reality a person continues to experience. The practical use of mentalism therefore begins with observation. When something happens, separate the event from what the mind immediately did with it. Notice the meaning assigned, the identity activated, the language repeated, and the action that followed. What remains invisible governs automatically. What becomes visible can be examined and corrected. Attention must then be trained deliberately, not by denying reality, but by refusing to let reaction determine what becomes central. Language must become precise enough to describe difficulty without converting it into identity. "I failed here" leaves room for correction. "I am a failure" organizes the entire self around defeat. Inner image can be used to prepare the structure of an action before it occurs. A difficult conversation, task, refusal, or decision can be rehearsed inwardly so that the mind already possesses a form to inhabit. Review then reveals the full chain: attention, interpretation, identity, language, emotion, and action. Through repeated observation, the hidden mechanism becomes workable. Mentalism is not wishful thinking, supernatural control, or an escape from material reality. It is the recognition that consciousness is formative and that human beings participate in experience through the structures of mind. Those structures can remain scattered and inherited, or they can be observed, corrected, aligned, and deliberately practiced. This is why mentalism comes first. Before vibration can carry a pattern, correspondence reflected, polarity divided, rhythm repeated, cause and effect extended, or gender generate through it, something must first establish the form being carried. Mind organizes the field in which every other law operates. This book was written by D.S.E.A and is available now on Amazon. You can find the direct link below in the description.